Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a very quick and concise review on the new Gucci bronzer. So this is the new Gucci product we are talking about today. It is so stunning, but also so expensive. You guys know that I love high-end and luxury makeup. That is my sole category here on YouTube. It's just a category of makeup that I feel like really draws me, really something that I'm passionate about. So I want to make sure that I'm telling you guys what is actually worth purchasing when you're thinking about the high-end and luxury category, because it is more money at the end of the day that you're spending and you don't want to waste it on crap products. Just because it's high-end doesn't mean that it's good. So there's definitely some duds, but this is a product that I'm super excited to review because this is one that's very expensive, but one I think that you may really like. There are some things to consider though when purchasing this product. So if you want to know all about my thoughts on this, just keep on watching. Alright guys, welcome back. So let's talk about this new Gucci bronzer. This launch was very interesting to me because they didn't do a ton of promotion when it comes to this bronzer, and Gucci is very notorious for not telling us what shades correspond to what. So I actually found when trying to navigate this bronzer release that it was very similar to the launch of this guy, which is the Beaute powder or the pressed powder that they actually came out with just prior. This is probably a couple months old now when it comes to their release date. Very similar packaging, as you can see. It's a pale pink, but this is a pressed powder versus a bronzer product. And this is one that I too found very difficult to find my shade in. They essentially just list the numbers, but they don't really give you a ton of descriptive words as to which number that correlates to. Often when you're thinking about a complexion product, they're kind of suggesting like number 1 would be fair, number 2 would be fair to light, number 3 would be light, number 4 would be light to medium, you know, things like that. But I found with this launch it was a little bit tricky. The bronzers, however, do have a descriptive word where they have fair, light, medium, tan, and dark, I believe is what they are. So there's definitely a consistency in range, although there are only 5, so I feel like there's still going to be some people that are going to miss out on getting a shade that will work for them depending on their skin tone. So it just depends on what look you're going for, but they did do a decent job when it comes to the range of shades. Even though there were descriptive words for these, I did find that the pictures on Sephora, so this is where I actually purchased this bronzer, which is right here. So I purchased mine from Sephora Canada. Gucci Beauty has arrived at Sephora Canada, which is amazing. I know you guys love that, my fellow Canadians. We need some Gucci love too, okay? So it's really nice that they are actually here for us also, not just in Sephora US. This is an $81 bronzer, you guys. This is Canadian dollars. So I'm going to quickly pull up the American site and just let you guys know what that is in American dollars, because I know that's also really important for you guys to know. So it looks like in American it is 62 American dollars, and all 5 shades are sold out currently on Sephora US. As of yesterday, there were still a few shades available, but as of today on the Sephora Canada site, they are also all sold out with the shades currently. I'm going to show you the pictures that correspond to some of these images, but what I found kind of confusing was that fair was very clearly the lightest shade in this kind of launch. You could see that the fair was the lightest bronze tone, but then when you got to light looked darker than medium, sorta. It just looked a little strange to me. I did see this for both the Sephora US and the Sephora Canada site, so I think their imaging might be not aligned properly. I'm not sure, but I found it really odd to navigate the shades because of just like the misalignment of images. I'm pretty sure they may have mixed those up because it doesn't seem correct to have a darker shade as light and then a lighter shade as medium. It just doesn't make sense. Now let's get to the bronzer because there are some distinct differences between the two compacts, even though you can see that they look very similar, especially in packaging style. The outside packaging, which is when you will receive the Gucci bronzer, is really sleek and beautiful. It's got like a pale kind of peachy beige kind of outside packaging. It's very sleek and luxurious. This font mimics the rest of the Gucci line when it comes to all the other items that they have. So they're really keeping everything really consistent branding wise. When you open it up, you will see the bronzer itself, and it's a beautiful kind of like turquoise teal, just stunning lacquer packaging. Very, very weighty in the hand, and it has a gold frame that it sits in. It has this gorgeous ribbed edging that I'm gonna kind of show you with my hands. You can kind of see that sound there. That's my nails running over the ribbed edging. I doubt my camera will pick it up because it's so fine, but it's just like slight ridges along the edge. It has like this gorgeous detailing that looks really stunning in the light. It's like geometric. When the light shines, it kind of flashes in and out. It's really, really stunning. Interestingly, both of these compacts are 81 Canadian dollars. So once again, we're talking Canadian dollars. However, the Beauty powder is 10 grams of product. The bronzer is 12. So you do get a bit of a bonus, 2 more grams of product in the bronzer, which is kind of nice. Now looking at the inside of this bronzer, it's super beautiful. It does have Gucci embossed or pressed right into the powder, just like the face powder does, except the bronzer has this gorgeous geometric kind of circular frame that matches the outside of the packaging. So it does have a little bit of an extra touch to the bronzer powder. That shape is going to obviously dissipate as you use it. I'm going to show you on my Beauty powder kind of what it looks like. So this used to say Gucci in the middle, and now you can barely tell. So it's starting to fade away as I'm wearing the product, and obviously dipping my brush in, it's just smoothing out, and eventually you won't be able to see it at all. So definitely going to be the same idea with the bronzer. There's just a little bit more detailing to the pressed powder, which I do appreciate. Now let's talk about the fragrance component, because you guys know the Gucci Beauty is pretty heavily fragranced. And this is something that I talked about when I talked about the Beauty powder, because it's one that, to be honest, makes this product not an everyday product for me, because I don't always want to put perfume products on my face. I do want to try to stay away from that. Even though I'm a luxury lover, I really try to space that out. So this is the Beauty powder. It is very heavily fragranced. It smells like perfume. It doesn't smell like fruity or fresh or something like, you know, let's say eucalyptus, like how that smells fresh and kind of like nature-like, if that makes sense. This smells synthetic and sweet. So definitely a heavily perfumed product. When you look at the bronzer, it's the exact same situation. So looking at the ingredient list on the back of the box, you will be able to see the ingredients right here on the box. And looking at it, it's about, you know, the top half for sure of the ingredients says perfume/fragrance. Now, compared to how they smell, I would say they're very, very close. The Beauty powder smells really strong, and so does this. I would be surprised if it wasn't the same. I think it's very, very similar smelling. But the good news is when you apply it to the skin, it doesn't actually sit on the skin long term. So you will smell it as you're applying it to the skin, but you will eventually not smell it anymore, because it does seem to dissipate as you wear it. I would say at least 15 minutes after applying it, I couldn't notice the smell anymore. So it's either me getting used to it or it's dissipating off. That is a silver lining, but it does make this bronzer, just like the Beauty powder, one that I'm not going to be using too often because of how fragranced it is. So I will space it out and keep it in rotation so I don't keep putting fragranced products on my skin. Now, when it comes to how this applies to the skin, very interesting. How this applies is really silky smooth on the skin. However, it has more of a pigment punch than I thought. So just so you know, I actually used a Sigma large angled contour for this one. It's a very kind of characteristic angled contour brush, just so I knew where to place this. And I put about 2 taps of this brush, which isn't that dense. It's a little bit dense, but I wouldn't say it's as dense as some. And it picked up a lot of product right away. Now, I will say, I know the next question you guys are going to ask me is what shade did I pick up? I did forget to say that earlier. I picked up number 3 medium, and I actually think that I could have pulled off light also. I think fair may have been a little bit too light, but I think light would have been good also. It's just that light was sold out at the time. So I picked up medium, and it does work, but I wouldn't go any darker than medium on my skin tone. I'm considered a light neutral, I would say. I'm about NC 15 to 20 in MAC. And this is something that I think like I barely pull off. I do have to make sure I'm applying it very lightly because, like I said, 2 taps into this and I felt like I had a pigment punch right away. This one is interesting too because it doesn't swatch as evenly as I thought across my skin. I noticed I had to build up the swatch to show you guys in this next clip the swatch of this. But while you're swatching it, it feels very silky smooth and creamy as you're doing the swatch. But because of its sheeniness, it kind of has to be built up a little bit so you can actually see the pigment. So that is something to also think about. But when you apply it to the skin, wow, the pigment is there. Like, I was like, oh shoot, this is a stripe, I have to be careful. One thing you will notice about this bronzer too is the undertone of this is more of a reddy undertone. Depending on the undertone of your skin, that might clash with you. For me, I find the red undertone is okay as long as you don't put a heavy hand of bronzer on, because then it looks a little bit like reddy brown and a little bit awkward on the skin. But if you just do it lightly, you can see that it's a nice like natural sun-kissed look, because usually under a tan you have like a hint of red, because a natural tan is not good for the skin, you guys. I'm telling you, you should really spray tan, it's better. That's the nurse coming out in me, I apologize. But anyways, an actual tan has a teeny bit of a reddish tinge because it is skin damage at the end of the day if you have like an actual suntan. So I think that's kind of what they were mirroring with this bronzer, but as you go up in the shades, like tan to dark, you can see even more of a red undertone to it. Based on the picture alone, I'm going to assume, because I don't have the bronzers in front of me, the fair ones are going to have a little bit of a red undertone, the dark ones are going to have the most red undertone, just because they're going to have more of a darker pigment and that red undertone is going to be a little bit more visible. When it comes to how it stays on the skin, how it wears throughout the day, this is a really nice one because I find that it wears away really evenly, and really after about 12 hours did I see a little gradual lightening where I place the bronzer. But other than that, this does a great job of staying in place even in relatively hot heat. I was wearing this around, it is about plus 35 today Celsius. It's literally humid and kind of disgusting out, and it still managed to hold its own, so that's impressive. I would recommend this. However, you have to be okay with a couple of things. The first is price point. Price point is extremely high. This is a luxury item. It's a Gucci product. Everything else in their makeup line corresponds to this price point. It is just more expensive than your average Tarte product, than your average drugstore product by a long shot, of course. Are there other bronzers that are exceptional, that are cheaper? Yes. So this isn't something that is, you know, so amazing that you can't find bronzers like it on the market. I do think that this sort of reminds me of the Tom Ford bronzers slightly, like the Soleil Glow bronzers. They have that same sheeniness to them, although the Gucci one is more red than the Tom Ford. It has a similar application on the cheek like the Tom Ford ones, where they have that sheeniness to the skin. And also when you swatch the Tom Ford ones, you'll see that it's also like more of a sheeny creaminess, so you do have to build it up to get the pigment. So that's kind of what I would say, but Tom Ford is also a luxury product and a luxury brand. There are other options, yes. There are other glowy bronzers on the market, yes. Do you absolutely need this? No. This is a luxury item, and personally, I don't think you really need luxury items anyway because they're so pricey. But what I will say is that if you're a luxury lover like myself, if you appreciate Gucci products, if you want to just treat yourself, this is definitely a nice bronzer to do so with. You do also, number two, have to be okay with the reddish undertone. So if you are someone that finds that red undertones in bronzers kind of pull funny on you, then that's probably one reason to skip this one. If you're okay with the red undertone, of course, then definitely one that I think you can splurge on and enjoy. Now, I know the last question I'm going to get just regarding this bronzer is a comparison between this bronzer versus the old release that Gucci did. I believe that one is called the Gucci Golden Glow Bronzer. I see it on Neiman Marcus. It's sold out now. I've also seen it on the Bloomingdale's site, and it's also sold out. So this is one that they've discontinued, obviously, and revamped their entire beauty line to include this new product instead. What I will say is that I unfortunately can't comment on the old bronzer versus the new because I don't have the old bronzer. I actually wasn't really into high-end luxury makeup, or I wasn't as invested in it back then when they did release that, so I don't even have it as an experience to compare it to. So if you are looking for a comparison, unfortunately that won't be me, but I'm sure there'll be other channels that will do that for you, so just keep your eye out for that. This is definitely a strong first impression for me. I've worn this only twice now, so I can't say how I'm gonna feel in 6 months time, but I'll definitely update you guys if you would like and see what I think. But this is definitely a cute little splurgy item, and one that that if you appreciate luxury products, I don't think you'll be disappointed in. If you have any other further questions on this bronzer, I'd be happy to help you guys. Until my next one, guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us.